for a local election or for the state election, you don't have to have the entire union cabinet go and campaign. I don't remember Dr. Manmohan Singh campaigning vigorously at all when elections were held. The synchronization of elections will help the politicians.
Hello and welcome to the Indian Express. You're watching Explain Politics with me, Charulata Biswas, and I'm being joined by Neerja Chaudhary, our contributing editor at the Indian Express. And today we will be talking about government's first step towards implementing the BJP's long pending promise of holding simultaneous elections of Lok Sabha and state assemblies, and which is called One Nation, One Election. And in today's update, Law Minister Arjun Ram Meghwal, he introduced two bills in Lok Sabha, Constitution 129th Amendment Bill to sync the terms of Lok Sabha and state assemblies, and a consequential bill to amend the relevant acts for union territories and national capital of Delhi to enable simultaneous polls there as well. So, Neerja, before we dive into why BJP wants one nation, one election, first tell our viewers about the practice of holding simultaneous elections, which actually started in 1951. Am I right?
Yeah, that's right. 1951-52. That first election took 5 months to complete. It
Right.
started in October and got over in the new year in 1952. Yes.
Okay.
And of course, in 1952, 1957, 1962, and 1967, these were simultaneous elections. The elections were all held together. And after that, the situation changed because, 1967, there were many state governments that were formed in the right from in the Hindi belt right up to, the east. Where non-Congress governments came into being. And subsequently, when 1977, the Janata Party came to power, Indira Gandhi had declared the emergency from 1975 to 77, and very surprisingly, she called for elections in 1977, and as it turned out, she was completely wiped out all over North India. So she went out of power. She lost her own constituency. Her son, who she was grooming to be her heir, also lost in his constituency. And that is the time when the Janata Party government dismissed 9 state governments run by the Congress and declared president's rule there. Now, they said that since Indira Gandhi had lost the mandate at the center and the Congress party had lost the mandate, so also had the state governments ruled by the Congress party. So that is where the story started of the state assembly elections getting delinked. When Indira Gandhi came back to power in 1980, she did likewise. She paid back the Janata Party in the same coin. And therefore, that process went on. Now, governments have lost their mandate or were toppled midway because with the devolution of power, more than other parties came into existence, smaller parties came into existence, and they became a force. In 1977, of course, 4 parties had merged their identity and to form the Janata Party. So because there was a mushrooming of parties also, and it wasn't one party dominant rule, as was the case till 67. The situation changed on the ground and the elections came to be delinked.
So, ma'am, the critics, they say that simultaneous elections could marginalize state level concerns and shift the discourse towards national issues. And especially those in power at the center, they might overshadow the regional parties. So, are you saying that the opposition's concerns are actually somewhat true?
Virtually most of the regional parties today are opposing this move. Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin has written about this. Mamata Banerjee has spoken about it. Others have spoken about it. And they feel if the elections are held simultaneously, of the Lok Sabha as well as the state assembly, then the regional aspirations, the local issues that would normally dominate in a state election would get subsumed by the national issues.
Yeah.
And furthermore, if you have at the national level a strong popular leader, like we've had Narendra Modi in the last 10 years,
Mm,
then people would get swayed by that
mm,
and leave behind the local consideration. So that would hurt the regional parties, is what they fear.
mhm.
And that would hurt the federal spirit. And that's why they feel
Yeah.
it is going to be also undemocratic, is the word that many of them have used.
Yes, and it might violate the basic structure and pose serious constitutional challenges. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, in one of our interviews, he recently said that this is a superficial, appealing concept. Why is BJP pushing for one nation, one election at this point in time?
Look, if you take it at face value, of course, some people think that they will benefit politically
Mhm.
because they may calculate that Narendra Modi's popularity will not be matched by any other national leader in the coming election or two. So the benefit of it will go to the BJP
Mhm.
uh, in a club together election. Now, but the point is that you're making changes now. It's not for the next one or two elections. You're going to be making these changes for the next 50 years and more. And therefore, what would be of benefit to India, what's good for India and its electoral process is what needs to be kept in mind. And therefore, I would not say that it is only that they win the next one or two elections. This system is going to be in place. Now, my own sense is and my own belief is that this bill does not go far enough. You know,
Hmm.
it's all right to ask for changes in the administration of the election system,
Mhm.
you know, whether it should be synchronized or not synchronized. But it's another thing to go for or attempt to go for electoral reforms which are so badly needed. And I think synchronization of elections in order to, they give mainly two reasons. One is that it will cut down on the amount of money that's spent. You know, you would have to have troops, you have to have security forces, you have to have personnel, you have to have booths, and the whole entire system and the machinery and the mechanism that gets put in place. You have to do it repeatedly. And therefore, that amount of money will be cut down if you have them together. The
Yeah.
other thing that Mr. Amit Shah and others have made this point that the long periods of the code of conduct be remaining in force prevents them from getting on with governance, development work, and that it leads to policy paralysis. Now, I would say that on the first count, if the intention of this move should be to go in for major electoral reforms, because the Prime Minister repeatedly says, you know, wants to do things big, and this must be a unifying move. At least that's the way it's built. Therefore, the amount of money, for instance, that is spent by political parties and individual candidates, not what they declare, but actually what they spend, is far greater than what the government spends on the setting up the system to hold elections. One Southern Chief Minister was saying that they spent 40 crores on a Lok Sabha seat and 25 crores on a Vidhan Sabha seat. If that is the scale of the money that's being spent, and money is influencing people's voting choices increasingly, then that is something to worry about. That is something to look at. In the past, you know, there have been many reports, Dinesh Goswami report, Law Commission report, to look at how this problem can be resolved. People have talked about state funding. Others have given other thought to it. But the time has now come. And since we are looking at the whole issue, the time has come to look at the role of money power also, not just how it can be cut back in terms of the arrangements,
Mhm.
but to go deeper than that. As far as policy paralysis is concerned, again, Amit Shah has given the example of one state where the code of conduct was there for, I think he said 150 days. He hasn't named the state. But you can, after all, at the moment, the government goes in for all the measures in a hurry before the elections are announced. But it's not as if you have elections for 5 weeks and club them together, say, suppose you had Lok Sabha elections, then it is for 5 weeks, 7 weeks, whatever be the case. But you don't have to have policy paralysis, because for a local election or for the state election, you don't have to have the entire union cabinet go and campaign. I don't remember Dr. Manmohan Singh campaigning vigorously at all. When elections were held, as other party people used to do. But with the rise of the BJP, of course, Narendra Modi is their iconic campaigner. And then Amit Shah and the whole cabinet is out there. And they're campaigning for all the state assemblies, even for the local elections, they have done so. So I think this is a recent trend. Anyway, the point I'm making is that, and one other point I would like to make, Charulata, here, the synchronization of elections will help the politicians. They don't have to go back to the people again and again and again, which is tiresome for them.
Yeah.
If you go to the villages and ask people what they think of one nation, one election, many will turn around and say, these people are not going to come to us for 5 years. Does that mean that ये तो अपना मुंह ही नहीं दिखाएंगे फिर? अभी तो they come, we tell them the road is not working, or our children are not getting proper education, or the schools or the hospitals are not working, whatever be their grievances. And then they come back again, say 9 months later for another election. We can tell them, no, this was not done, or it was half done, and so on. So they are held. Repeated elections benefit the people because the politicians are forced to go back to them for votes, and the people can hold them more accountable. So the view of the ordinary person, though this may not apply to the middle class, you will find a very different view coming from the middle class. They will think much more of paisa bach jayega and so on.
Yeah.
I think overall, to just sum it up, this is a very big move. And I think if the intention is to bring about electoral reforms, and the law minister, when he introduced the bill, used those words, electoral reforms, that is what we want to bring about. And that is not going against the states. It will not hurt the federal spirit. Then I think a wide discussion, a national discussion on every aspect of the bill and the move needs to take place, and larger number of people need to be involved. Of course, the committee under the former president met many stakeholders, and now it will go to the Joint Parliamentary Committee, which will also debate the issue. But I think it calls for widespread discussion and debate in the country on this issue.
Absolutely. So will one nation, one election benefit the politicians? And is it just a concept, what do you think about it? Don't forget to comment. And thank you so much, Neja, for joining me in this discussion and giving your perspective on one nation, one election. And thank you so much, viewers, for joining us in this episode with Neja Chaudhary. See you next week. Thank you so much.